everyone, I'm back with a brand new video this week. Today I'm delighted to be joined with Duncan George. You played for Stranraer for 2 spells. What was your memories at that time for the club?
Memories from my first spell? Well, my first memory was actually sharing a car with Sanny McInnesby as he drove me down a few times and drove me back. That was a scary experience. Better memories after that was great dressing room, some cracking players, if I remember right, Darren Henderson, Jerry McMillan, Lex Grant, Lenny Logue, fantastic dressing room. Games that stand out, there was one game that was on the TV against St Mirren. They were a fantastic team again. In that game, although they beat us, I did manage to score a good goal against Campbell Money, which I remind him about now and again, which is quite funny. Good memories from my first spell. We move on to the second spell. That was obviously a very successful time for us in the club. We managed to win the league, and that team was incredible, absolutely incredible. Never knew when they were beat. What a dressing room it was, fantastic characters, and it was just a great time to be at the club. Then the following season, after we got promoted, we spent a year in what would now be the Championship, so it was a really high level of players and teams we were playing against. I think we were maybe the only part-time team in the league, but I thought we were very unlucky. I mean, there was a lot of games we were losing 2-1, 1-0. We were playing against the likes of Hibs and teams like that, and I just felt, it did peter out towards the end of the season, but I just felt a lot of the games we were unlucky, and it was actually a very enjoyable experience to play at that level. Well, after that, Campbell moved on and we got a new manager in Billy McLaren, who I actually enjoyed playing under, and Billy got a good season and a half, 2 seasons out maybe, but I think after that injuries began to kick in, the way I played the game, and I think he maybe have gave me an extra year's contract when it was maybe it was time to move on. But looking back, fantastic memories on both spells, and it's just, I loved the place, I loved the pitch, I loved the surroundings, I just felt at home, and I was made to feel at home.
The crowd with the silver lining for Stranraer, albeit that Stair Park would have to be elastic-sided to stretch the police limit of 5,000 as St Mirren came to visit. Stranraer boss Alex McInnesby has adapted the Graham Souness-Ali McCoist relationship with Derek Cook by relegating his top scorer to the bench. And local hero Barney Duffy, once a St Mirren player, was nursing a broken wrist, which meant that Barry Holland was again in goal. For St Mirren, Stevie Archibald was out with a fever, but Gunny Torfason was back in from the cold after that horrendous cheekbone injury. Plastic surgery rescued his career, and it was clear that he was going to play a role of $6 million man proportions in this tie for Saints. He hit the bar that time, but the Paisley fans were in the mood to head for one to celebrate after a goal, the execution of which was simplicity. Victor, Shaw, Torfason, 1-0 Saints. It was a goal to soothe away all the distress of a string of Saturdays for St Mirren, and by half-time they were 2 ahead. George Shaw was again chief engineer, but Paul Kinnairds' finish was clinical. Tony Fitzpatrick was already breathing easier in the dugout. Into the second half, and St Mirren pressed the instant start button. They were 3-0 ahead within 8 seconds of the restart. Kenny McDowell was the scorer, but the list of credits must include the Stranraer defence. This is Kenny's favourite distance, 3 yards. By now, though, it was becoming the Gunny Torfason show. His free kicks were causing the Stranraer back players' defensive wall-to-wall heartache, although Holland did well to get flat out with this one. The Iceman was due a second goal, and you can always bank on money to lend a hand. McDowell did his bit, and Torfason showed his gratitude in the best possible way. St Mirren on the rampage. But Stranraer held on, or tried to, with all the tenacity of a pit bull terrier. Duncan George scored a fine goal, and at least there was something to celebrate. And I'll tell you, there could have been more. Was that a penalty? Referee Duncan blamed the shoulder. But Stranraer kept on pressing, and Campbell Money was suddenly a shade busy. Yet it was Saints who hit the accelerator pedal with some sweet play which showed the gap between the divisions. The boys from Love Street were in Easy Street and they knew it, and they showed some one-touch stuff which was a delight to watch. Victor was in total control of proceedings. Black to Victor to Wishart, on to Shaw, and watch the build-up to the best goal of the afternoon. A joy to watch, and the afternoon is wrapped up with a strike from the Spaniard. Adios, Stranraer.
You are the part of the team that won the second division in 97-98. What was your memories from that time?
Well, the previous season I was part of the United team that won the same league, so obviously moved to Stranraer in a close season. We ended up winning the league again. I think I touched on it, how tremendous the team spirit was. There were no passengers, some fantastic players in that team. I think of Keith Knox, Ian Macaulay, Paul Kinnaird, Tom Black, a young Mark Campbell was just coming. I think Mark played a lot of games that year for a young boy. So fantastic players and a great group of lads. What I do remember about that run, there was one game in particular where we travelled up to Inverness on the Friday night. Great preparation. It was snowing the way up, but we got there fine. And on the Saturday, we ended up winning this game 2-1. But it's the most one-sided game I've ever been involved with. We got absolutely battered. It was like the Alamo. I remember Barry Robson was a top player in the division, and he must have hit the bar about 5 times in the post, whatever. Great saves. But do you know what? We hung in there and we managed to scrape a 2-1 win. And that was, and they were up challenging for the league. So that game really sticks out. We dug out a result, and after that you're saying to yourself, hey, we've got a chance here. Great memories. What a team, what a year, and what an end of season trip in Dublin, which was a reward for winning the league. And I can't even remember thinking about win bonuses. It was just such a happy place to be. So the club took us to Dublin for a week, and a week in Dublin with that crowd was just absolutely mental. Fantastic memories.
I'm Alex Watson. Coming up, action from the Velvet Cup and Shield finals at Murrayfield and some rugby league. But first, in their most important match of the season, Stranraer take on Clyde.
Stranraer made the trip to Broadwood, home of Clyde Football Club, in the last game of the season, and both Stranraer and Clyde were involved in tussles at opposite ends of the table. But in a complicated end to the season, and amongst all the mathematical porridge, a simple win would secure promotion into the First Division. Clyde applied the early pressure, but it was Stranraer that had the first real opportunity. The long kick down the park was not picked up by the Clyde defence, and Paul Kinnaird played a 1-2 with Isaac English. His shot beat the keeper, but was cleared off the line. Clyde were desperate for a win too that would secure their Second Division status, but Stranraer looked composed at the back. King's Cross easily collected by the keeper. It was still 0-0 after half-time, but Money must have had a word in the dressing room as the Stair Park side came out looking more purposeful after the break. A dangerous back kick by the defence gave Alan Lansdowne a clear shot at goal, but the ball just didn't sit up and it eventually went wide. Stranraer always looked like the better side, but they were having difficulty creating the chances they had in the first half. Isaac English couldn't connect with his head, and Johnson's shot was blocked by his opposite number, much to Campbell Money's frustration. But with 10 minutes remaining, a long throw and a deft flick on found Alan Lansdowne and Gavin Friel in front of goal. They both went for the shot and the ball ended in the net. The goal was credited to Lansdowne, but Friel claimed a touch too. As the seconds ticked away, Campbell Money was a little tense, but the final whistle brought delight, promotion and the Second Division Championship. It finished Clyde 0, Stranraer 1 and a place in the First Division.
You gave my dad your shirt from the Celtic game in 2001. What was your memories from that time?
I'm glad your dad got the shirt and hope he still got it. Memories of that game? We stayed over the previous night in this fancy hotel out in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know the name of it, but it was just a long time to wait for the following night's game, I felt. But the club tried their best in that respect. But I do remember when we drove up to that game, the floodlights were so bright, because Stair Park didn't have the best of floodlights in, and it was live on the television. It was just so bright. I've never seen or known anything like it. Other memories was just walking onto the pitch and the place was absolutely bursting. It was just packed. Just a superb buzz around the ground. It was fantastic. Highlights of the game. I remember it quite early in the game. There was a 50-50 challenge in the middle of the park with Neil Lennon. I think I definitely got the better of him, because he said after that, he called me quite an expletive or two, and reminded me he was going to get me during the game, but I don't think he ever did. So I was quite happy with that, to be honest. But Celtic were a great team, a really top team. They had Larsson, Sutton, Moravchik. I actually thought the team played quite well in the game, and I think we contained them. It was a lot of containment, but you have to admire that level of team. It was Martin O'Neill that really, it was a season that kind of really went on, a terrific run in Europe and stuff. So an enjoyable game and a great experience to play against these players.
You scored 15 goals for Stranraer. Is there any goals that stand out for you?
Well, I didn't score that many, to be honest, but the one that really stands out in my mind was the championship winning run towards the end of the season. We were between 3 or 4 teams, and it was Livingston visited Stair Park. Really crucial games, only about 4 or 5 games left, so really we either put them out the race or they would put us out the race. I think it was 1 each with about 20 minutes to go, and the play was developing on the right hand side, and I just burst from the, I know that sounds quite surprising, but I burst from the centre of the park, and I remember running past Paul Kinnear and he says, "Just go on, Duncan." Cross came in from the right, and I actually connected with this thing so well, and it ended up in the top corner to my surprise as well. But that's definitely one of the best goals and the most important goals I've ever scored.
You made a huge impression, not just the fans, but your former teammates. How does that make you feel?
Well, in a word, very proud. To have the respect of your teammates is massive. In the dressing room and on the pitch, any footballer will tell you that. And no, it just makes me feel very proud that they maybe think that of me. All I done was, when I played, I tried my very best. It was a personal pride to me that whoever was up against, there was no way they were getting the better of me. That's the way I played the game. I just didn't want to come second best, and I'm just very proud.
Who's the best player you've played against and why?
Well, I was going to say that's a hard one, but it's not really. But I did manage to play against some top players: David Cooper, Tom Burns, Henrik Larsson, but the one that stands out for me, the best player I've ever played against, without doubt, would be Paul Gascoigne. Not least because before I played against him in that game, I was a fan of his anyway. I mean, I was just in awe of him, watching him on the telly. and to come up against him. But what also made it an easy choice was the fact after the game he complimented me on my performance, and that just made it all better. So absolutely no doubt, the best player I ever played against was Paul Gascoigne.
What's the best 1 to 11 players you've played with?
Best 1 to 11 I've ever played with. Well, what I've tried to do is pick a team where I played a long time with. There's definitely and probably better players I played alongside, but maybe I didn't play alongside them enough. So this is my team in a 4-4-2, best team that I have played with. Mark McGowan in goals, just such a safe pair of hands. Played with him at Stirling and Stranraer, a long time together as a teammate, and just a very capable goalie. Right back, Keith Knox, what we can say about Keith, just an absolute fly machine up and down that right hand side. Just a great engine, superb player. My left back is a player that's originally from Stranraer, Gary Agnew. Played with him at Ayr. Injuries cut short his career, but what a player he was, what a left foot. My two centre backs, Willie Jamieson. I always used to think Willie could be the defence on his own. Big Willie, who played with Hibs and Hearts, and I was a teammate of his down there. What a player, what a defender. To complement Willie, a sweeper would be a fella named Willie Furphy. I think had a short spell at Stranraer as well, but played a long time at Ayr with him as well, just very calm and composed. My four in the midfield, wide right, Paul Walker, just an absolute buzz bomb. Great for me, just knock it in behind, Paul would get after it, superb player. On the other side, probably one of the funniest guys, but one of the most talented guys I've ever played with would be Paul Kinnaird. Great skill, great crosser of the ball, just a fantastic player. Two centre mids, Ian Macaulay, without a shadow of a doubt, absolute dynamite of a player, top bloke as well, and just love my time playing alongside Ian. The next one in centre mid is probably a guy I didn't play that long with, but he gets in there because he made such an impression with me. For a spell down at Ayr, Bobby Russell, ex-Rangers. I mean, I grew up in Glasgow as a young boy, and you either pick one half or the other, as you know, and I just was in awe of Bobby as he went through his career, and to play alongside him, and for that short time was fantastic. Bobby, what a talent he was. My two up front would be Tommy Walker, who again had a spell at Ayr and Stranraer. Tommy hails from Castlemilk in Glasgow, so very tough player. Always remember a few fullbacks when the ball's away, just writhing around in agony in the ground. But no, Tommy was a good player. To complement Tommy, I went for Lex Grant, who I played with at Ayr and Stranraer. Lex was just the most skillful and balanced footballer you're likely to see. So I think that's a pretty good team to be fair, in 4-4-2, and I don't think many people would disagree with that.
Who's the best manager you've played under?
Best manager? Well, four stand out for me. George Burley, Simon Stainrod, Campbell Money and Billy McLaren. I enjoyed and respected playing under them. I think there's no doubt that the best manager for me would be Campbell Money, for the success that we had together, winning the league, and just the way he went about things, the way he treated you. He definitely get the best out of me, and I had the greatest respect for the man. So yeah, without a doubt, Campbell Money would be the best manager I've played under.
Congratulations at your appointment at Whitlett's Victoria. What's your hopes for the club?
Hopes for the club is to be successful. My role at the club is to prepare the under-20s, to prepare them for life in the junior game, or whatever it's called now, as they make that step up. If I can pass on any experience, wee tips, give them good habits, coach them, and just prepare them properly for that next step in their football career. It's a very exciting time at Whitlets. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's a hard-working committee there. So my job really is to support the manager, George Grierson, for the first team. And if I can do that, I'll be happy, and hopefully we can turn it into a successful stint. It just seems a good fit for me just now.
Any funny football stories?
Loads of funny stories over the years. One that springs to mind for me, which I think is quite funny now, but my teammates might not have at the time, was my first spell at Stranraer. We were playing away to Queen's Park in a Scottish Cup game, and it was at that time where if you went to the bookies you could only get a single bet if it was a cup game. So I was looking at our price and we were 5-1, and I says, oh, we're far too big. So on the Friday I went into the bookies and put £100 on us to win that game. We ended up winning the game 2-1. It was a game that Lex Grant scored this magnificent chip goal, and Sports Scene played it every week. So a fantastic goal. So anyway, Lex scored the winner. I'm running about mad, running about daft in the park, in the dressing room after the game. So on the Monday went to collect £600. I felt like a millionaire. So I look back at that, so I think that's quite funny, but I don't know if I shared it with my teammates, to be honest. Another story that springs to mind was when I played for Ayr United. I can't even remember the game, but what I do remember was I got on the ball and I was looking for Paul Kinnaird to pass it to, but he wasn't there. He wasn't on the wing where he should be. And the next I looked over and he's by the trackside, shouting up to his family in the stand, telling him that he's got the winning ticket for the draw that had just been made over the tannoy. And I think he got into a bit of trouble from the manager after that game, but we look back and that was PK for you. It was just so funny. Never seen anything like it, to be honest.
Thanks, Duncan, for this week's interview. Really appreciate that. Hope to see you at Stair Park soon. Everybody remember to like, subscribe and share. Hit bell 7 soon as a brand new video. Peace.